Anyway.
The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Welcome home, Sydney. You're a survivor, aren't you, Sydney? What good's it to be a survivor if everyone close to you is dead? You can't save them. All you can do is watch.
Of course, there was the Scream, so it must be Scream. Lena Lamont is in to talk to us about Scream 4. Can you believe it? They're back.
Oh, they are back. 15 years, I think it is, since the first one. The first one was good, though, right?
Well, that's the first one's the only one I remember.
Yeah, it is. It does get hard to differentiate second, third, and so on. That's
the first was a classic.
It was.
I mean, it was bringing back at the time that whole 80s horror genre into the modern time.
And I sort of think of it also as the first one was very, very self-referential. It was the first one where the kids would say, oh, hang on, nobody go off and get some more booze, because if you say, I'll be back, you won't. And, you know, there was all that, as well as it was really gripping, the first one, right?
And it launched a few careers, I think, as well.
Yes, it did. Yeah, it totally did. People like Scoot Ehrlich, I think, for sure. And there was the twist, which still, I mean, you know, don't want to give that away just in case there's anybody listening who has it. Okay, right, 2 killers, wow, you know, amazing.
I thought it was. I actually did always think it was kind of weak in some ways.
It's a Get Out, but actually, when you watch it back, it's kind of. I think it's pretty much almost like you know.
So I remember Scream 1, and then I remember Scary Movie.
Right.
Taking the piss.
Right. Yeah. I really, honestly, do not know what possessed them to do Scream 4. And I think there's a terrible irony. I mean, I don't know which PR people are wrapping Neve Campbell over the wrists for this, but only a little while ago in some newspaper, she was commenting, oh, I think there are too many sequels and too many remakes in Hollywood, and there are so many great stories to be told. And then the person kind of went, but you're doing Scream 4, and she went, yeah, I know. So you kind of think, oh, I guess she needed a new car or something. You know?
Now, it's got to be said, all of the stars are getting a little bit older now.
Well, that's true. Sidney Prescott, Neve Campbell's character, has not changed at all. You remember, she was very earnest throughout all of the films, which was kind of a bit of a drag. And it still is a kind of a bit of a drag. She returns to, what's the name? Oh, I can't even remember the name of the town. Scarsborough or Hillsborough, or it's not Springfield, that's all I know. And she returns on the 10-year anniversary of the original murders. Well, gee, what do you think might happen? Yeah. Do you think that will pass without a hitch? No.
Is the reporter back? What was the...
Yes, Courtney Cox is back.
That's right.
Gail Weathers.
Yeah.
And
there's still a dispute between the two?
Yes, that's right. There are a few kind of hugs out, you know, but no, pretty much disputes.
And Dewey.
And Dewey's back. Deputy Dewey is back. David Arquette. So funny actually to think, gee, I wonder when they were making Scream 4, was Courtney Cox and David Arquette's marriage already on the rocks when they were making it? You can't tell. They must be really good actors.
Oh, no, I did see, I think, a little piece on that.
Oh, right.
About that, and no one knew.
Oh. Because they got together on Scream 1, you see. That was Anyway, to cut a long story
the gossip
short...
column.
Yeah, right. Oh, sorry, wrong slot. To cut a long story short, Scream 4 actually was not worth resurrecting.
Right. Is it that bad?
It's not appalling. It's not Red Riding Hood bad, if we, you know, want to make some comparisons. It is still frightening, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to say probably I was the one shrieking out loud, but it doesn't offer anything new at all.
So is the thing here, though, okay, the original Scream being self-referential, then you had Scary Movie, which was spoofing parodying that.
Yeah.
So where do you go from there?
I don't know. Scream 4 is very self-referential, and Wes Craven's back at age 72 doing the fourth one. I think almost you've got to give him credit for that.
Yeah.
He is a little bit more up with the play with there's reference to Facebook and Twitter and... social networking.
Someone told him.
Well,
You've got to put this in.
That's right. You've got to put this in if you're going to be down with the kids. Other than that, there are some frightening moments, but they're generic frightening moments, if I'm honest. Only a couple of nice little bits where people will do the whole, all right, I'll be back. Oh, no, hang on, I shouldn't say that, should I? And do you remember in Scream 1 when Rose McGowan gets caught in the roller door, in the garage door, and the door, and it's absolutely petrifying.
Yeah.
And there is something reminiscent of that in this that is also petrifying. Not quite as good, but kind of similar. So you've got to kind of think, oh, I'm looking for the references, I suppose.
Yeah.
Other than that, not really worth it.
Not for Scream 4. Well, on to something now completely different.
If your daughter can't admit she's with the wrong guy, it's time to hire the Heartbreaker. Meet Alex.
Et je suis briseur de couple professionnel.
He's charming. He's smooth. And when it comes to breaking up bad relationships, he's the best.
Merci, Pierre. Merci, Césario.
Somehow I think the voiceover doesn't quite go with the film.
It doesn't. That man's voiceover is so irritating, is it not? That does kind of ruin it. It's a wonderful French rom-com called Heartbreaker. And it is in French. People should be warned, despite the guy telling you that this is what's going to happen in the movie.
Yeah.
So there's this bloke called Alex Lippi, and he and his sister and brother-in-law are kind of a team of experts who inveigle themselves into young women's lives. If somebody in that woman's family has decided she's with the wrong guy, she needs to be rescued from this, but she won't listen to us. So they send Alex in. Alex kind of not exactly seduces the woman, but makes her feel so good about herself that it enables her, it empowers her to realize the jerk that she's with is not good enough. So, and that's a really nice conceit. And then inevitably enter stage right Vanessa Paradis, Johnny Depp's fiancée, as it happens. She's a French pop singer and a bit of an actress. And she is the hardest nut he's ever had to crack, sort of thing, because she really thinks that she is in love with her fiancé. But it's his job, and her billionaire father's on the phone to him saying, you better get in there, I don't want her marrying this guy. And then, of course, do you think he might fall in love with her, and will that compromise his principles?
So it's a classic sort of story.
It's a totally classic sort of story, and it is a lot like all the French farce rom-coms that we have. I'm a massive fan of French film. I'm not a massive fan of The Closet, The Dinner Game, and those farcical sort of ones. And I really, really liked this film. And I think the strongest thing about it is the performance of the main guy, Alex. Partly because I'd seen him in some French dramas like The Beat That My Heart Skipped and Dans Paris and Paris. And he's a very earnest, kind of sulky Gallic type. He plays thieves and baddies as a rule, and it's nice to see him loosening up and dancing to Dirty Dancing and that sort of thing. It is a charming film.
Set in the south of France?
Yeah, I was going to say set in Monaco. So therefore you get all that eye candy of beautiful landscapes.
It could be a Bond film or it could be a rom-com.
Exactly. But it is really worth seeing. It's a nice film. So that's Heartbreaker.
Very cool. And a wee bit of a shout-out at the end.
That's right, yeah. Just wanted to mention to our Auckland listeners that the Victoria Picture Palace and the Academy Cinema down in Central City, they're doing a bit of a comedy tribute month this month, I believe in May. And so among the films that they're playing, a couple of comedy documentaries, including The Aristocrats, which includes it's
brilliant. Oh, I love it. But it's not for everyone. Man,
it's so not for everybody. So I ain't recommending that film.
Oh no, I love it. Love it.
But it's extraordinary.
My problem is with that because we own it on DVD.
Yeah.
We get people, we're having a party or something. So towards the end of the party, put on Aristocrats. Once everyone's sort of chilling out.
Did you know what you were getting into?
Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. It's basically the retelling of one particular terribly crude joke, isn't it, by different comedians, and it's an extraordinary film in a lot of ways. Much more kosher than that, although
but some people it's just like straight over the top.
Maybe just as well. They're also playing American, the Bill Hicks story, which is a really good documentary. It was in the documentary festival I think last year. I caught it then. About comedian Bill Hicks, who is sadly no longer with us. Amazing kind of it's a really interesting, really good film about his life. And then they're playing what they consider to be comedy films like Moonstruck, Cher and Nicolas Cage, back from the olden days.
Oh, yeah.
And Breakfast at Tiffany's, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Cool. Well, while we're doing shout-outs as well, I also noticed that Stratos, the free-to-air channel, you can get it on Freeview, it's also in Auckland as well, are doing a Chinese film festival at the moment, which is there's some great films showing for free on there, so that's very cool.
Check that out.
Yes. And we will go out on some Heartbreaker. Lena Lamont will see you in the Sunday Star Times, in the film review section, and also on WordPress, lenalamont.wordpress.com.
That's right.
Wake me up before you go to leave me hanging on like a yo-yo. Wake me up before you go. This kind of thing.